In 2020, a major cyber attack by a group backed by a foreign government penetrated thousands of organizations globally, including multiple parts of the United States federal government, leading to a series of data breaches. The cyber attack and data breach were reported to be among the worst cyber espionage incidents ever suffered by the US, due to the sensitivity and high profile of the targets and the long duration in which the hackers had access. Within days of its discovery, at least 200 organizations around the world had been reported to be affected by the attack, and some of these may also have suffered data breaches. Affected organizations worldwide included NATO, the UK government, the European Parliament, Microsoft and others. The attack, which had gone undetected for months, was first publicly reported on December 13, 2020, and was initially only known to have affected the US Treasury Department and the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, part of the US Department of Commerce. In the following days, more departments and private organizations reported breaches. The cyber attack that led to the breaches began no later than March 2020. The attackers exploited software or credentials from at least 3 US firms: Microsoft, SolarWinds, and VMware. A supply chain attack on Microsoft Cloud Services provided one way for the attackers to breach their victims, depending upon whether the victims had bought those services through a reseller. A supply chain attack on SolarWinds' Orion software, widely used in government and industry, provided another avenue. If the victim used that software, flaws in Microsoft and VMware products allowed the attackers to access emails and other documents, and to perform federated authentication across victim resources via single sign-on infrastructure. In addition to the theft of data, the attack caused costly inconvenience to tens of thousands of SolarWinds customers, who had to check whether they had been breached, and had to take systems offline and begin months-long decontamination procedures as a precaution. U.S. Senator Richard J. Durbin described the cyber attack as tantamount to a declaration of war. President Donald Trump was silent for days after the attack, before suggesting that China, not Russia, might have been responsible for it, and that everything is well under control. The global data breach occurred over the course of at least 8 or 9 months during the final year of the presidency of Donald Trump. Throughout this time, the White House lacked a cybersecurity coordinator, Trump having eliminated the post itself in 2018. When the breach was discovered, the U.S. also lacked a Senate-confirmed director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the nation's top cybersecurity official, responsible for coordinating incident response. The incumbent, Chris Krebs, had been fired by Trump on November 18, 2020. Also at that time, the Department of Homeland Security, which manages CISA, lacked a Senate-confirmed secretary, deputy secretary, general counsel, undersecretary for intelligence and analysis, and undersecretary for management, and Trump had recently forced out the deputy director of CISA. Numerous federal cybersecurity recommendations made by the Government Accountability Office and others had not been implemented. SolarWinds, a Texas-based provider of network monitoring software to the U.S. federal government, had shown several security shortcomings prior to the attack. SolarWinds did not employ a chief information security officer or senior director of cybersecurity. Cybercriminals had been selling access to SolarWinds' infrastructure since at least as early as 2017. SolarWinds had been advising customers to disable antivirus tools before installing SolarWinds software. In November 2019, a security researcher had warned SolarWinds that their FTP server was not secure, warning that any hacker could upload malicious that would then be distributed to SolarWinds customers, and SolarWinds' Microsoft Office 365 account had been compromised, with the attackers able to access emails and possibly other documents. On December 7, 2020, a few days before Trojan, SolarWinds software was publicly confirmed to have been used to attack other organizations. Long-standing SolarWinds CEO Kevin Thompson retired. That same day, Two private equity firms with ties to SolarWinds' board sold substantial amounts of stock in SolarWinds. The firms denied insider trading. Multiple attack vectors were used in the course of breaching the various victims of the incident. If you think about data that is only available to the CEO, or data that is only available to IT services, all of this data, the attackers exploited flaws in Microsoft products, services, and software distribution infrastructure. At least one reseller of Microsoft Cloud services was compromised by the attackers, constituting a supply chain attack that allowed the attack